the only specimen of the mariposa plant in England. That flower is the only known antidote for werewolfery. A very interesting folk tale, but of no value to the police. I warn you, sir, unless you secure this plant, there'll be an epidemic that will turn London into a shambles. When my experiments are completed, I will show their results to the entire world. Not before. Remember this, Dr. Glendon. The werewolf instinctively seeks to kill the thing it loves best. You brought this on me that night in Tibet. Sorry, I can't share this with you.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to 31 Days of Monsters. We are on day 5. Boy, it goes quick, doesn't it? This time of year, we wait forever for it to come, and bam, we're 5 days in. So today, we're going to talk about 1935's Universal outing called Werewolf of London. This movie is not the first werewolf movie. The first one was from like 1913 called The Werewolf. But this one is the one that set all the precedents, all the stuff that we know. I almost said a naughty word there. All the stuff that we know about werewolves pretty much started with this movie, like the full moon, killing the thing that it loves, the man wolf, visage that we have of the werewolf, all come from this film. A few years later, in 1941, Kurt Siodmak added to that mythos with the legend of the even a man who's pure in heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright. And so he added some things to it too, but Werewolf of London really was a game changer as far as, the public perception of what a werewolf is. Is this a great movie? I don't think it's great. It suffers from its dating from 1935, the year it was made. It's primarily the music. The music sounds like a cheap Republic serial. It doesn't have that really cool music that Universal would eventually use a few years later. The transformation scenes and the actual makeup for the Werewolf of London is fantastic. It's more man and wolf because they really wanted to make sure you saw the human aspect, the Dr. Glendon character, when he was the werewolf, and not just cover him completely up like they did with the Lawrence Talbot character in The Wolfman. And I just love this werewolf running around London, well dressed. He's got a scarf and a jaunty hat, and he just looks really, really cool. His hands too, when they show all the close-ups of the hands, that looks really great. And it looks like they pulled that Ruben Mamoulian routine, which he did in the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, where they used like red makeup and on the face, which you didn't see on the camera until a filter was put across the lens, which would bring it out. So that transition, like where they would have makeup or stuff on his face, when they would flip that red filter over it, it would bring that out, and it looked like it was changing. It's a really, really cool practical effect that was done in camera and still holds up really well. I love that kind of stuff. Sets are great. Story's a little slow. The character of Dr. Glendon, is played by Henry Hull, is a bit of an asshole. He doesn't have that likability that Lawrence Talbot had. In The Wolfman, Larry Talbot is the wayward son of Claude Rains. Who's going to believe that? I mean, Cheney was like 6'3", and Claude Rains is like 5'3". But anyway, he comes back to America after the death of the beloved prodigal son brother. And so he's always had it tough, but he's been living in America. He's got all this energy, this sort of American ideology, can-do attitudes type of stuff. And then he gets bit by a werewolf, and it just crashes his life down. He's got this curse on him, and here's this guy that you really liked, who had this great personality, and now he's burdened with this horrible curse. You don't get that same feeling for this Dr. Glendon character. He's kind of imperious. He's rude with his wife, played by Valerie Hobson, who you'll probably remember from the same year did The Bride of Frankenstein. She was Elizabeth, Henry Frankenstein's wife. Interesting thing is that in 1935, Valerie Hobson was all of 18 years old. She looks quite a bit older in both these films, but her suitors, her husbands in these movies, like Henry Hull, is 27 years older than her. She didn't look older than her age. I mean, she definitely looked like she was well into her 20s. But it's an interesting bit of casting. But she's very good. She really is. She's a fine actress. Henry Hull is a bit stiff and wooden and theatrical in places. Warner Oland, who plays Dr. Nagani, I think it is, again, playing an Asian character. I never understood that. Warren Oland was known for the Charlie Chan films, where he played the Oriental detective, which I guess you can't use Oriental anymore, but that's what they used to call him. And he was from Sweden. I could never understand why he played all these Asian characters all the time. But evidently, on his mother's side, the Russian side, they were part Mongolian or something. So maybe there is a bloodline there. But he's very good in this. He's actually probably the best actor in it. There's a nuance to him that, and a little less kind of over the top theatrical, playing to the back row type of acting style. Let's see what else. Trying to think. I just watched it this morning. I actually got up early to check it out. I tried to watch it last night, and that's always a disaster for me, because at night my head is just wiped out. My eyes are wiped out, and I'm laying in bed. I got my earphones on. I got it on. I'm like dozing off. My wife's laughing at me. So I eventually hooked it up this morning and watched it. So it's fresh in my mind. Star Trek fans, there's our Star Trek reference. The scenes in Tibet in the beginning are the famous Vasquez Rocks. I was watching it this morning, and I'm looking up, and I'm like, holy crap, that's where Kirk tossed the boulder off at the Gorn. You see that in a lot of pictures. The Vasquez Rocks are very famous, and they're very noticeable too. So just when you thought there wouldn't be a Star Trek connection, there you go. Let's see who's here this morning. Fearless Freep has made it. Hello, Fearless Freep. Dr. Mask's Retro Elixir is here. He says hello to everybody and monster lovers. Hyper Kaiju is here. Rob Fellows, gruesome greetings, he says. Skull Nasher says Charlie Chan. Great screams in this movie. Soundtrack, not so much. The howling sounds when he's the werewolf are pretty cool, because they took Henry Hull and used his howling noise, but then they mixed it, I think, with like a timber wolf. So it was like the most like realistic werewolf sound howl out there. It's pretty cool. Hyper Kaiju loves the two drunk old ladies in this. Yeah, I mean, I felt that sequence seemed a little forced, trying to force the comedy in there. And it didn't really ring true the same way that maybe Una O'Connor does her comedy bits in The Invisible Man or in Bride of Frankenstein. I think that's what they were going for, and again, it doesn't quite ring for me. Rob Fellows. Come on, there we go. Fancy bringing a beastly thing like that into Christian England, says a guest at the party. All rise! Yes, indeed. Aaron Judge, number 62, breaks the American League record and quite honestly breaks the baseball record for single-season home runs. I don't count the juicers. Hey, they put an asterisk against Roger Maris because it took him more games to do it than Babe Ruth. And if that's all that it took to get an asterisk, then these guys ought to just be booted off the records. The Sosas and the Bonds and the Maguires. Okay, leg kick 1 is here. Val Schnitzel. Dan Genovese. JDC. JP Roca. I don't know if I mentioned JP yet. Jeremy Burtz is here. Cigar Gangster. Oh, I like that. And I like your avatar there. Oh, Edward G. Robinson, say. Greetings, all. Yeah. Rocco. He says, I caught this series last year. Excited what will do this time. Yeah, you should check out the list. I've posted on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Fact is, let's take a look at my list here and see what's up for tomorrow. Oh, White Zombie, the Halpern Brothers zombie film with Bela Lugosi. After that is Night of the Living Dead, Mystery of the Wax Museum, and that'll take us out of the 1930s and bring us up to more modern times, because then we'll do Aliens and Malignant, and we got some cool, more modern films coming up. Yeah, so tomorrow is White Zombie. I'll just warn you, it's a slow burn, but if you're a fan of Bela Lugosi, it's a great performance by him. What did I miss? Last night I learned that Mark doesn't. Oh. Last night I learned that Mark Brooks doesn't care about your recent success, Graham. Oh. Where was that? What show was that brought out? Or did he post something on Twitter? Richie Dupe says, hail Graham, hail the chat, and bananas to all. Lots of sugars in bananas. I don't eat sugars. The werewolf disease is cool. Oh, yeah, that was the other aspect that's in this movie. When you're bit by the werewolf, you turn into a werewolf. That the mythological aspect of werewolfism was you could turn into a werewolf by practicing these, like devil worshipping mystic arts type of stuff. It wasn't about getting bit, and it being sort of like a virus that passes on. So that came from this movie as well. The werewolf disease is cool to think about. Does it want to spread its race? Is it all about animalistic rage or the instinctual hunt? Ooh, deep thoughts. Tom Tuttle is here. Hello, Tom. You know, on that trailer that we watched introducing the film, there's a sequence that's actually not in the film, which would have been cool. It's when Nagani and Glendon are fighting, and you can see the werewolf, Glendon the werewolf, scratch Nagani on the face. You do see the scratch marks on his face in a scene, in a fight, in the fight scene shortly thereafter, but you never saw him actually get it. But it's in that trailer, so it must have got cut out. The wonderful Maria Osmanskaya. Yeah, she brought some gravitas to that whole thing, you know. I love that relationship between her and Larry Talbot. You know, sort of a motherly thing. Talbot put her son out of his misery, and she did her best, you know, to protect the son. And now, because the son turned Larry Talbot into one of these creatures, you know, she does her best to protect him. It's too bad that after Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, that character is no longer around. Of course, she passed away shortly thereafter, I believe. I believe she was gone before the end of the 1940s. She died in a horrible fire in her apartment or house. Rob Brown says, "Hi, Graham and chat. Man of War 665, neighbor of the beast. I'm here, listening while getting dressed." Similar themes to Frankenstein. Rejects wife over experiments in secret lab. And Jekyll and Hyde. Science versus folklore. I believed Henry Frankenstein loved his wife, but he was obsessed with his experiments. I never really felt any warmth out of Henry Hall in this. Chris Juliano is a true 62. Yeah, going back to Aaron Judge. Thank you. Okay. Well, that's a question for the ages, isn't it? What's wrong with these scientists turning their backs on their hot wives? Yeah, and that one's only 18. Yeah, Feels Freep, you're dead right. Ford Frick did everything because he was a friend of the Babe and the Babe's family to minimize Roger Maris's record and to keep the Babe lifted up. Very true. Oh, the dark side of baseball. Oh, Chris watched White Zombie the other night. All right. Somebody's doing their homework. I like to see that. Who is Mark Brooks? I never heard of her. Oh, EVS versus Brooks on a stream. Oh, okay. So I got mentioned on that, I guess. All right. Graham will go look at Ethan's channel. All right, I will. I was just watching EVS's EFAP of Mark Brooks' meltdown when Graham went live. This is much more mellow. Well, I will definitely have to check that out. Ooh. Pop says, listening at work, ordered my copy of The Ghosts and my copy of Giant Sized is on the way. My October is full of Graham Nolan stuff. Woohoo! Thank you. What's the best werewolf transformation you've seen, Mr. Nolan? Uh the Wolfman, Joe Johnston Wolfman with um, Benicio del Toro, I thought was really cool. I mean, the one that really blew my mind was The Howling when I first saw it, because I'd never seen, you know, the guy's face actually, snout and stuff turn. And they did the same thing in American Werewolf in London, not to be confused with Werewolf of London. But I never liked that werewolf. That was kind of like a demon wolf. I liked the Howling Werewolf because it looked like one of the coolest werewolves I'd ever seen was Bernie Wrightson's werewolf that he had done in Swamp Thing. This just big, had the dog legs, but it stood up on two feet. Had this giant head and hair all over it, and long arms and long claws. And those are the same type of werewolves they used in Dog Soldiers, which we talked about earlier, I think on day 2. Those are that's the kind of werewolf I like to see. And I thought those transitions or transformations were really cool. The stop motion type stuff where they put a little on, shoot, put a little on, shoot, put a little on, shoot, were cool for the time. Sometimes they work better. This one, they did sort of a transition thing where he would walk behind a pillar, and when he'd come out the other side, he was changed a little bit more, which I thought was very creative, considering that, the limitations of the time. Jatinda Gatora. I guess I'll have to watch this before tomorrow. I won't add the link, but it's on YouTube. Search for White Zombie, Bela Lugosi classic horror movie, full length. I believe it's public domain film. Yeah, so you shouldn't have to pay to watch it. Hull's assistant in Werewolf of London also played as Evelyn Anker's father in The Wolfman. That's right, J.M. Kerrigan, a great English or Irish character actor, was in a lot of stuff throughout the years, a lot of Warner Brothers films. He was in some Errol Flynn films. Just a great character actor. And yes, he was Gwen's father in the original 1941 The Wolfman. Still playing. Vaughn says, damn it, all this werewolf talk makes me want to read Kevin's werewolf tale in Two-Fisted Manly Tales. Well, it's coming. Believe me, it's coming. Julie's there every day sending out, boxing up packages, and I pick them up every morning, take them over to the post office. You'll know when yours is shipped because your email, you'll get an email sent by stamps.com as soon as it's been fulfilled, and we print out the postage. Your email is put into stamps.com, and they'll email you it, so you'll know when it's shipped. Peter Gilmore is here. Hello, Peter. Hey, Graham. How goes it, sir? Goes great. It's October, favorite time of the year. We're talking monsters. I got a monster book or a ghost book out. It's doing very well. We're closing in on 42,000 raised, over 600 backers so far. Very happy with that. I'll be announcing a new cover by a superstar artist shortly, possibly tonight, and presenting that for everybody to take a look at. So yeah, it's going good. Oh, there we go. Michael Lehman is going to track down Dog Soldiers today. Excellent. I rented it on Amazon, and it cost $2.99. But I think there's some places you can watch it for free, but I hate commercials. So that's just me. For $2.99, it's definitely worth it. Unlike The Keep, which I rented for $2.99 as well. And I just wanted to claw back that $2.99. Graham Noel, new cover by Andy Smith. Nope. Wrong guess. Keep going. Have you revealed Tom's cameo death in Two-Fisted Manly Tales? Rip Tom. Two-Fisted Manly Tale. Tom's cameo death. I'm not quite sure what we're referring to there. Please elaborate. You have me intrigued. Color me intrigued. Another good guess. But wrong. Uh-oh. Okay, I'll say no more. Do we have any guests joining us this year for 31 Days of Monsters? None. Nobody wants to get up this early. That's the honest truth. I don't have anybody listed yet, but there's a possibility. There's sometimes I'll do these if there's a specific movie that I know, a friend of mine just loves and would want to talk about it. Then we'll move it to a nighttime show and talk about it like we've done in the past. But I don't have any lined up just yet. That's the fun of it. This is sort of an organic thing, and hey, if somebody says, hey, I love that movie, I'm like, oh, I want to talk about it. Great. And we'll bring them on. What did you think about the hybrid in the Underworld movies? The look wasn't much, but the idea creates a formidable monster. I'll be honest, I haven't seen the Underworld movies. I tried watching one time and just wasn't doing it for me. So no offense to Kevin, but just something about it wasn't clicking with me. Okay. There we go, my friends. Thanks everybody for joining us this morning, and we will reconvene back here again tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel, and we'll be talking about your friend Tom has been included in the Novelverse dying in each comic. We talked about it during our interview. Oh, okay. I thought that might be what you were referring to. But Tom doesn't, since I did write, but I didn't draw any of the stories in Two-Fisted Manly Tales. So my friend Tom survives that book. He wasn't in that one. But I do have a spot for him in The Ghost of Matacumba Key. Not sure if he's going to die in that or not. We'll see. I had a death for him in that, but then actually, I'll reveal this right here because I decided to put all the professionals in the ghosts, and the first guy that we're going to see is Mr. Art T. Bear. And I've got all little cameos from the bros in this book, so that's going to be a lot of fun to see all the guys in that. So, all right, that should do it for today, my friends. We'll catch you tomorrow. If you haven't backed Ghost of Matacumba Key, please do it. And it would be much appreciated. And tomorrow we'll come back and we'll talk about the Great Bela Lugosi and White Zombie. Till then, have a great day, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.